Hey YouTube, welcome to the fucking Booty Base. In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you all exactly how you can get stronger, but without actually lifting any heavier weights. Today, we're going to be going through this Instagram post, which I posted on my Instagram a few times and always gets really great engagement and people seem to really love it. Because, you see, when we're training, we need to be focusing on getting stronger and improving our performance if we want to improve our appearance. Now, this is really called progressive overload, and that means gradually making things harder over time. However, a lot of the time I think that people think that means that they need to be lifting heavier weights every single session, and that's really not the case. So, we're going to be going through these 4 techniques with a few different subcategories to show you exactly how you can actually get stronger and make your workouts harder without needing to lift any heavier weight. Now, this video is fantastic for those of you who are training in the gym, but also particularly important for those of you who might be training at home, or maybe your gyms might still be locked down because maybe you don't have access to a lot of weights, but you can use all of these techniques to be able to make sure you can modify your exercises, modify your programs, and intensify them without actually needing any weight to actually build up upon, or really not even needing any weight at all. You can get a great workout with just bodyweight movements. So anyway, let's get stuck into it. The first way that we can get stronger without lifting heavier is by increasing our training volume. Now, our training volume is really just the amount of work that we're doing within a given workout or within a given week. So, the first way you can do this is just by simply performing more reps. If on week 1 of your program you did 3 sets of 10 with 60 kilos on your deadlifts and that was really hard, the next week you don't necessarily need to lift heavier than 60 kilos. You could just try to do 12 reps, and that way you've improved your performance, you've gotten stronger without needing to actually increase the weight. The second way that we can increase our volume is just by doing more sets. So maybe you come in on week 2 of your program and you do your 3 sets of 10 reps at 60 kilos and you really just can't manage to get any more reps. That's completely fine. At the end of your 3 sets, you could decide just to do a 4th set. That way, you're still performing and doing more work than you did previously, and that way you can still make adaptations to make sure that you're improving across your program. Now, lastly, we can increase our volume by just training more frequently. Maybe at the moment you're training at the gym or at home and you're only hitting maybe 3 sessions per week. If you were to add another 4th session in, well, you've dramatically increased your volume, not by doing more reps, not by doing more sets, but by doing an entire whole new workout for your body to have to adapt to, and providing it with a lot more volume and stimulus for your body to have to recover from, so you can get stronger over time by adding in an additional workout day or adding in additional exercises to your program if you can make it fit in there, to be able to make sure that you are doing more work either across that workout or across the training week. Alright, that is our volume wrapped up, and now we're moving on to our second category, which is modifying the tempo or the control or the way that we actually perform the movement. Now, we're going to be having a few little examples of these, but one of my favorite is by doing paused reps. Let's take hip thrusts for example. Maybe you're doing 100 kilos for 3 sets of 10 on the last week of your program, and you're busting your guts, and it was so hard, and you're thinking, holy bajoli guacamole, I'm about to bust a football valve. On the next program, rather than try to increase your weight or try to do more reps, you could add in an isometric hold or a pause at the top of that rep to increase the time under tension for the lift. So, on your last program, you did 3 sets of 10 at 100 kilos, and you nailed it, and you hit it really well, but you were only squeezing for maybe 1 second at the lockout. This time, you go in, you still get 3 sets of 10 reps, but you're holding for 3 seconds at the top of every single rep. Now that is one great way to be able to, 1, increase the time under tension, 2, get a lot more burn and mind muscle connection, and 3, get a lot more motor unit recruitment and actually get a lot more glute activation at the top of your rep. Your set will be longer, your set will be harder, but you're still lifting the same weight for the same amount of reps. This is also a really great example for something like squats, where you could add a pause at the bottom of the squat, and we're actually taking away all that natural momentum that your body will create. if you do 3 sets of 8 reps at 60 kilos on your squats at the end of your program, on the next program, add a pause at the bottom and you'll see just how much harder that is. And keep working that up until you can actually get 3 sets of 8 reps at 60 kilos again. The next technique with modifying our tempo is pretty similar, but this time, instead of adding a pause, we're gonna be adding an additional quarter to the rep. This way, we're again increasing the time at attention and typically increasing the time at attention in the hardest phase of the lift. I really love doing these for bodyweight movements or exercises which don't really require you to use a lot of weight, or exercises that you can't really lift very heavy on. Let's take, for example, a Bulgarian split squat. At the moment, maybe you're maxing out and you're getting like 3 sets of 15 reps with a bodyweight Bulgarian split squat. Well, if you to add an additional quarter at the bottom when those glutes and quads are on that deep stretch and you're getting that incredible burn and that activation, then we're increasing the time and attention, making that set a lot harder and giving your body a new stimulus to be able to adapt to. Maybe right away you won't be able to get 15 reps and you might only get 10, but then you just keep increasing those reps all the way back up until you can actually get up to 15 again. And lastly, we are going to be looking at being able to modify our tempo by doing slow and controlled eccentrics. Now, we're gonna take squats for this example, and maybe on your last program, you were doing 3 sets of 10 at 60 kilos, but you were just lowering the bar at a regular standard pace to be able to lift as much weight as possible. Well, if you were to slow that eccentric or the lowering phase of the squat down and really control that movement down slow and really focus on controlling, getting that nice deep stretch and really tearing that muscle apart through that enhanced eccentric, then again, we're increasing the time on attention, making the movement harder and giving your body another stimulus to adapt to be able to actually get stronger at over time. Now, a word of warning, doing these slow eccentrics can definitely increase the muscle soreness that you get when you do, because muscles typically are going to be getting the most muscle damage from heavy and slow eccentrics. So if you do start to incorporate these into your program, then don't be surprised if you wake up the next morning feeling like you're fucking hobbling around like a little hobbit thinking, holy shit, I'm so fucking sore. Alright, moving on to our third category, and now we're going to be looking at ways in which we can improve our technique. Now, this is particularly important for those who are beginners or those who might be trying a new or novel exercise that you haven't really done or you aren't really very familiar with before. So, the first thing we can do to improve our technique is to be able to increase our range of motion. Maybe when you first start coming into the gym or you first start trying out an exercise, you can't really achieve full depth or full range of motion just because your body's a little bit uncomfortable with that range of motion, or maybe you don't have the coordination or safety within yourself to be able to support yourself through that deep stretch and getting down deep into your reps. If over time your body becomes more comfortable and adapts to you being able to perform that movement so you can get more of a stretch and more range of motion, then even if you are lifting the same weight, then your body's going to be able to adapt because it's increasing the time and attention, increasing the range of motion, and giving you a better stimulus to respond to. Now, with increasing our range of motion, it's not just a matter of this for beginners who might be, say, for example, improving their squat depth, but we can also look to modify our lifts by doing deficit lifts to be able to increase the range of motion as well. Let's take our Bulgarian split squats again, for example. If you wanted to be able to make them harder, rather than doing 1 1/4, rather than adding more weight, rather than adding more sets, you could ply yourself up onto a small platform or a bumper plate, and that way your reps and your range of motion is going to be deeper and challenging you more. So if you can perform the same amount of reps with an increased range of motion, then that is also a way for you to be able to progressively overload and make those improvements. Second on our list for improving our technique is improving our coordination. Now, when a lot of members come down here and join the Booty Base, they get insanely strong through their first 4 to 6 weeks. Now, I would love to tell them that they're like packing on masses and masses of muscle and that they're just genetic freaks and they're getting incredibly strong and in ways that anybody who's been training for quite some time could never actually do, because as you keep training, your progress is definitely going to slow down with your strength improvements. But as a beginner, you seem to get strong really quick and really fast. Now, why is this? Are they genetically gifted? Are they incredibly jacked? Well, in reality, it's very likely that it's actually just them getting more coordinated and getting more familiar with how to actually perform the movement. Something like a deadlift or a squat is a big complex movement that requires a lot of cues, coaching, and techniques to be able to perform effectively. Now, when you first come into the gym, you might be fucking flapping around like Gumby, looking like an idiot, and not know how to engage your lats, not know how to push through the floor, not know how to really utilize that leg drive or whatever it might be that can actually help you to master that movement. But as you progress over time, your coordination with the movement improves, your skill with the movement improves, and that is what actually allows you to build that strength over time. Now, this isn't just exclusive to beginners. This is exclusive to really anybody who's trying a new lift who might be a little shaky, might be a little unstable, and might be a little uncertain of how to actually perform that lift best. You'll probably see really great results just by improving your technique and improving your coordination, because your central nervous system is familiarizing itself with the movement and actually utilizing your body as a unit to be able to synergistically work together to get you more jacked. And last but not least on our list, we have improving our mind-muscle connection. Now, we've spoken a lot about compound movements over the last few topics, but let's take for example a cable kickback. Now, some people, when they come down to the booty base, they do kickbacks and they feel them right away, and that's fantastic. Other people with these isolation lifts, they don't really get that mind-muscle connection, and they don't really feel that squeeze right away. Now, that doesn't in any way mean that their muscle isn't actually working or they're not performing good quality reps with good technique, but they might not have really established the ways to be able to get the brain into the booty and to be able to develop that mind-muscle connection. And rather than just actually performing a movement or going through a range of motion with good technique, they're focusing on being able to consciously contract and actually feel that movement better over time. Now, there are a plethora of studies that show that a mind-muscle connection and focusing on an internal focus of squeezing can dramatically increase your muscle activation and definitely improve your gains. And with isolation lifts, this is really essential for you to be able to know that that target muscle is working, to know that you're really getting that good pump and that good burn. Now, when you first try out a couple of movements, maybe you don't have that mind-muscle connection. That doesn't mean it's a bad exercise, and that doesn't mean that it's not for you. It might mean that you need to just keep drilling that movement. You might just need to keep practicing it and really focusing on that squeeze, that burn, that feel, and developing, getting that brain in the booty and getting that mind of the muscle to be able to increase the activation and then be able to help you to actually get stronger and get better gains over time. And fourth and finally on our list, we are going to be discussing something that is best suited for people who've been already training for a while and are already pretty fucking jacked, and that is utilizing advanced techniques. Things like drop sets, things like supersets, and things like rest pause sets. Now, maybe you're familiar with these, but let me quickly talk you through them so you can get a little bit of a better understanding. A drop set is where you actually perform as many reps as you can with a given weight and take it really close to a failure. Then, rather than stop and rest and wait for your next set or completely finish the exercise altogether, you strip some weight off and then you go again with a lighter weight. This allows you to extend your set beyond failure and is an incredible way to finish off your sets with a fucking epic and crazy burn. These are intense when you perform them with your hip thrusts. Now, let's say for example that you did your 3 sets of 10 reps at 100 kilos and you couldn't lift any heavier, or maybe you just didn't want to lift any heavier. On your last set, what you could do is do that last set of 10 reps with 100 kilos, and then instead of trying to improve the weight, instead of trying to improve the sets, instead of trying to improve the reps, peel that 20 kilo plate off and then go again with 60 kilos and perform as many reps as you can. Now, a word of warning, I do recommend using these sparingly because they are so brutal and they do create a lot of fatigue in your muscles. Don't just start drop setting every single set, because it's a very, very, very good way to make sure that you don't have a lot of energy for the rest of your workout. So these disheveling sets or drop sets or advanced techniques are best used when you're just feeling super jacked or when you really want to make an exercise a lot harder, but just be aware that they're not for every exercise and every single set. set. Now, our next advanced technique is going to be performing supersets. Now, you can perform supersets in a lot of different ways, and sometimes you'll go from one muscle to the other and do, for example, a bicep exercise and then a tricep exercise, and that's a fantastic way to be able to get more volume in a shorter amount of time, to be able to really increase that burn and that cellular swelling in the upper arm. But for this particular topic, we're going to be talking about supersetting the same muscle group back to back. Now, let's say, for example, you were doing a bicep curl. We can talk about biceps, even though I'm the glute guru. Maybe you superset two exercises together to be able to intensify the pump, the burn, and to be able to also get more volume in a shorter amount of time as well, and really fatigue the muscle. Now, these are best probably used towards the back end of your training when we're focused less on developing strength and setting PBs and more focused on getting that burn, that pump, and really fatiguing the muscle to finish off the session. But let's say we did a standing bicep curl with dumbbells and we crushed it out and we hit our 10 reps. Rather than dump that dumbbell down and say, okay, I'm done, we can go straight over and we can go down into a cable preacher curl, sitting on the ground, come into a slightly different position. With supersets, it's best to work the muscle in a slightly different way, so you don't just do bicep curls with dumbbells and then bicep curls with a barbell. Try to modify the exercise so it gives you a bit of a different stimulus. But you hit your dumbbell bicep curls, then you get onto the ground and you do your fucking cable preacher curls until that burn is just absolutely unbearable, and you get an incredible pump and burn through the guns, and also, as mentioned, be able to increase that metabolic stress and get more volume in and really cook that muscle up to finish off your workouts. And last on our list for advanced techniques, also, there are a lot of advanced techniques. This is just 3 that you can use because I didn't want this video to go absolutely on forever. But we're going to be talking about our rest pause sets. Now, let's use push-ups, for example, here. I love doing push-up rest pause sets with the girls down here at the Booty Base because a lot of the time, they get to a certain rep where they just can't perform anymore at all. Let's say, for example, they do 15 bodyweight reps up on their feet and they could not possibly get a 16th rep out. So, what we do is we perform those 15 reps, but rather than resting a full 60, 90, or 2 minutes before we actually perform our next set, we're only gonna take a short 20, maybe 30-second rest. Even 15 to 30 is actually pretty good. And then we go straight back into that set and we perform as many as we can. You'll go again and don't expect to get 15 reps, and if you did, then 15 probably wasn't truly close to failure, but then you'll go again and maybe you'll be able to bust out anywhere between 8 to 12 reps. And then you take a short rest again and you go again, and then your muscle's super fatigued. It's done 2 really intense sets in a really short time frame, and then you whack a third one on top, and now you're gonna be really struggling to only be able to bust out anywhere between probably 4 to 6 reps. I've actually got this protocol in one of our current Glute Guru gang programmings, and the girls are getting incredibly jacked and incredibly strong and really seeing really great improvements with their push-ups. And again, if you got to 15 reps, you could just start to maybe add a weight on your back and start to actually perform the reps with a weighted variation and lower the reps and then build them back up. But this rest pause technique is a fantastic way to be able to, again, not have to lift heavier, but give yourself a crazy hard stimulus with short rest periods to be able to condense really tough sets all into one. Now, how you calculate this is you would do your 15 reps, then you rest. Let's say you got 10 reps, then rest, say you got 5 reps, you count 30 reps total, and then next week, it's your job to try to increase the amount of reps that you got with that rest pause set to be able to make sure that we're progressively overloading again by not adding any weight, but just by performing more reps with the rest pause protocol. All right, YouTube. That is a wrap for this video. There actually are a whole heap more ways in which I could explore and educate you on how to lift heavier without actually lifting any more weight, but I thought these are probably some of the best examples that you can use and utilize whether you're training in the gym or whether you're not. So, get out there, go get motherfucking jacked and juicy, but before you do, I might need you to do me a little favor. I need you to go and like, comment, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. And ladies and gentlemen, you know what they say. YouTube Skidda-dabba-dabba-ba-do.